Hi, this is Gail. Welcome to Overcoming Obstacles. On this channel, we talk about real people with real obstacles and how they've overcome it. Today, we're talking with Stellar Piper. Now, she is a lady who was told back in her middle school years that she was not going to be able to achieve in math or music or live independently. And wait until you hear her story. Let me tell you a little bit about epilepsy. But before we get started, I want to ask you to like this video and to subscribe. If you have not already become a member of this channel by subscribing, go ahead and click that red and white button. You'll get information on all the videos as they come out every Wednesday and otherwise. On Wednesday is when we talk about real people, again, with real problems like hers. Now, epilepsy affects, are you ready for this? Over 3.4 million people across the country. That breaks down, according to the CDC, to 3 million adults and 470,000 children. Is that not crazy? Seizures can be caused by head injury, tumors, infection, and lots of other reasons. And then sometimes the doctors just don't know what causes it. There's several different types of epilepsy. I personally have the grand mal's. That's the more traditional period, what people think of when they think of epilepsy. It means that I lose consciousness, I fall down to the floor, I start shaking, I wake up again, and the day goes on. But there's lots and lots of restrictions when you have epilepsy that you have to live with. Whenever I have a seizure, I lose my license for 6 months. It's not an option. The neurologist can release the license sooner, but you always have that uncertainty. Now, mine are very well controlled, and you'll hear from Stellar Piper, whose seizures are also controlled at this time. But she was even able to go to college, even though her seizures were not as well controlled as one would hope. Some people who have epilepsy are not able to live independently. Now, that's something that she was told, but the doctors didn't count on her spunk and her stubbornness, and she found a ways to live the life that she wanted to live. Her seizures are absent seizures or absence. That's where it just looks like you're daydreaming. So she can appear very scattered, and sometimes teachers at school miss these and just blame them on daydreaming, even though the awareness is not necessarily there as far as what's going on. So she's going to share that with us today. So without further ado, let me introduce Stellar Piper. Okay, Stellar Piper, thank you for joining us. I know you've overcome epilepsy to go to college, to attend university, graduate school, work, live, even though you're told at one point that you would not see. How does that feel? And tell us a little bit about your accomplishments.
It feels really good. I graduated in 2010 with my BA in music, and I was told as a kid that I would never be able to succeed in either music or math. So that was definitely a very good feeling for me. I graduated in 2014 with my master's.
You really showed them.
I did my best.
All the naysayers gone.
Definitely gave it my best shot. But through both of those college experiences, living with epilepsy and working with epilepsy was really challenging. The Students with Disabilities office was great, especially at Berea, where I went to undergrad. And the disability office at my grad school was a little bit less helpful, but they still did everything they could. They were just under budget and understaffed.
Do you think it was because they didn't understand what you were dealing with as a student who has epilepsy? Because seizures are not something that disability services are necessarily equipped to handle.
I think that definitely was part of it. I also think that the type of seizure I had made it a little more difficult because it's very easy to explain the stereotypical seizure, but that's not what I have.
Okay, tell me about what you have if you don't mind.
I often describe it as the lights are on, but nobody's home. I have what's called absence seizures, so it looks like I just stare off into space for a minute, and I may walk into traffic or fall downstairs or walk into something I don't realize is there.
So when your mother said that you were spacey, you were having seizures. Is that correct?
At least partly. I'm also naturally spacey, but
That's
at least
that's true,
partly.
Stella. You are. Okay. What would you say to students who are going away to college or want to go away to college and yet they have the seizure disorder?
I'd say go for it. Just be sure you're in a place where you can get medical care if you can't drive and get groceries if you can't drive. Just make sure you're going to be able to take care of yourself medically and academically and whatnot.
Okay.
But go for it.
Okay. What are some of the things that you feel like somebody should look for when choosing a college as a person who has epilepsy?
Hospitals close by, a decent student clinic that's more than just a first aid station, something that'll be actually helpful to you.
Okay.
My undergrad had a shuttle service to the nearest bigger town, which was very helpful.
Okay.
Ease of
So you
transportation.
want good transportation and good medical care, ability to get groceries in addition to a student dining plan?
Yes.
And so you're also suggesting using disability services to help you find these resources?
A disability service will be able to help you find some of these resources. Some of them you'll just know. Like in DC, I knew that there was already a transit system in place.
Okay. So looking for someplace that has a really good transit system is going to be paramount to your success.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And how do you think you came about with the mindset to ignore the naysayers and go off to college and live away from home?
Well, I give all that credit to you.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, because you did it.
Well, how many times have you told me that everybody's got something to deal with?
That's true. This show right now is about overcoming the obstacles, living with what you've got, and not surviving, but thriving. And we're glad that you've been able to do that. Now, I know your time is really limited today because you're going off to work. Something else that you were told you might not be able to do as somebody who has epilepsy. So you have moved away from home, gone to undergraduate and graduate school. You have successfully had jobs for most of your life, both freelance and private sector, and you've done some amazing things with music. So what can you tell us about your music?
Music, like, what do you want to know? Do you want to know what I think about it, how I got into it?
What are some of the obstacles that you've overcome as someone, because you were told at one time that you weren't going to be able to play effectively. Is that correct?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Having epilepsy makes processing information challenging, and when you're playing music, everything's time dependent. So by the time I space out for 2 seconds, the rest of the band may be on a completely separate page.
But yet you were able to overcome the epilepsy, and you've achieved some pretty major things with music. What are some of those experiences that you've had, or I would even say the equivalent of a rags to riches story? You went from rags and being told you couldn't play to what are some of your achievements?
I've played at the Washington National Cathedral, Arlington National Cemetery, in churches across the country, East Tennessee Veterans Cemetery, and the Lincoln Memorial, just for an overview.
You played with a youth orchestra when you were back in high school, if I'm not mistaken.
I did.
Gosh, you've just about done it all. You know, you didn't leave much for anybody else. I think it's a huge story of achievement.
It's definitely it's definitely something I was told I was never going to do, and I'm really happy about it.
Stellar Piper, obviously you got your name from being stellar on the flute. You've done a lot of achievements, overcome many, many obstacles as it relates to epilepsy, to having a seizure disorder, with work, school, music. What are your parting thoughts? What would you say to someone who's watching who has a seizure disorder?
I would say that epilepsy is a diagnosis, not a definition. You don't have to let it stand in the way of who you want to become. Go out, take names, and kick butt.
Well, Stellar Piper, thank you for joining us today. We all appreciate it. Thanks for overcoming those obstacles. Have a great day with whatever you're going to do today.
Thanks. Take care.
Okay. That was Stellar Piper and her story. We're very fortunate that she was able to be here to record that clip for us. Now, I want to invite you again, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and smash that red and white button so you can get notifications. But you got to click that little bell to find out when the videos are coming, because that's actually what releases those notifications to you. So you want to subscribe and also click the bell. I want to thank you all for watching. Now, we have people on every week who are sharing their stories, sharing their struggles. Maybe you've got one that you want to share. If so, send me an email. That email address is below in the description box. Thanks for being part of my life, part of the channel, for your shares, your comments, and for being here. We'll see you next week on Overcoming the Obstacles. Thanks for watching. Bye.